So now I'm going to be showing you how you can take a JSON specification that someone has sent you and actually execute that on your OMOP CDM. So in the previous video, I actually showed how you can create a study specification for prediction that will be valid for Strategus. Now, if I load this, so I previously saved this file to this location on my computer. If I load it now, I'll end up with the specification object reloaded into R. The next thing I need to do is I need to put in my connection reference and also the connection details. So again, as I showed you previously, I have all of these saved in keyring, so encrypted, so I don't accidentally share these, and also if it's all hidden and nice and safe. So I'm going to put an example for the reference, and I'm going to get my connection details. Then you need a work database schema. So this has to be a database schema where you have read and write access to. So I have this set up with the keyring. And then you also need the CDM database schema. So this is where your OMOP CDM data are actually found. So I have that for one of the databases in the keyring. And then finally, you need to specify where you want your results saved. So I said I want it saved into this PLP example folder in my documents, and then a min cell count. The min cell count right now in PLP isn't actually doing anything. I need to update that to actually have the min cell count do something. So that will be updated very, very soon. But for now, it's going to be an input that will be good, but it's not really used right now. And then cohort table name. So this is a name that you want to give when Strategus starts running. As I said, most of the analyses, or pretty much all of the analyses that we do, require you to generate cohorts first, and this is just a name that you're gonna use, and it's going to be create a table of this name inside your work schema, and then all the cohorts are going to be generated into here when Strategus actually executes the analysis. So I just called this Strategus example. So I'm going to call this Strategus example 1. And then that's the end of the input. So this is all you need to specify. So if you're sharing the JSON spec with other people, this is all they need to specify. It's just the connection to their database and some of the schema settings that they want. And then once they've done that, they do need to run this store connection details. So this is you need to have Strategus loaded for this because it's a Strategus function. And in here, it's going to have the details of the connection and the reference. And then the next thing is that they need to create an execution setting. So this is, it's going to take this connection details reference, it's going to take the work schema, the CDM database schema, then it's going to take your cohort table names. So we specify this is going to be Strategus example 1 for the cohort name, and then you put that inside this function of cohort generator, which is get cohort table names, because there's actually a bunch of cohort tables that get generated, especially if you said that in the specification when you're creating the cohorts, if you specified you wanted to include statistics, there's actually a few extra tables that get created, but they'll all actually have this table name in their name somewhere, and then they have some extra little information after the table name that tells you the specific table and statistic that it contains. Then you have a work folder. So this is just going to be my output location that I specified was my documents PLP example, and then Strategus work, and the results folder Strategus output. And I'm going to show you what the end results look like from those. And then you have your min cell count. So this gets used in the execution settings. So we press enter for that, and now I've got the settings all set up. You do need to set up your installed module folder for Strategus. So basically just copy this line of code to set up some environmental variable with that location. And then finally, it's this execute function. So these are all of these functions that I showed you here, this create execution settings and this store connection details. These are all from Strategus. And then execute is from Strategus. And then when you're at final execution, you just need your analysis spec, which is the thing that you loaded, the JSON spec that you loaded into your session. So right at the beginning here, I loaded this using parallel loggers load settings from JSON to the JSON spec. So if someone has emailed me a JSON spec, I could have just put that into a location and loaded it using this location. That goes in there. Then you have your execution settings, which we just specified up here, which has all the information about the connections and where you want things saved. And then we have the execution script folder. So this is just, again, just another location that's going to be used to save some of the information when you're executing the Strategus. So if we press enter now, what you're going to see is that it starts to download the cohort generator module, because in this JSON spec that I showed in the previous demo, we use cohort generator and we use patient prediction. It's going to download both of those modules. And then once it's downloaded those modules, it's going to basically reactivate an RM in those modules, set up your environment that we know that works for the analysis. And then it's going to start running the analysis based on how you specified it. So I'm going to show you now while it's doing all this, actually what gets output. So here we actually have, so be aware, if you're using Linux or Mac, when you have to do your key ring entries, it's going to actually ask you to enter these in every time that you need to have a password. The right person. So you do, if you walk away from your computer, you don't enter these, it would have actually failed. We're trying to like make this a little bit easier for other users. The Windows doesn't ask you to do this. And you see here now we're actually at the point where it's creating those cohorts that we specified. So cohort generator and the modules are downloaded. Here you'll see they're downloaded in the work. You've got cohort generator module downloaded. Now it's actually executing the settings to create the cohorts that we specified in the JSON spec. So this is an old example when I ran it earlier. You can see you download the two modules, cohort generator, patient prediction, and then you have your output. So here we've got the output from the cohort generation. Here's all the tables, this because we included the statistics. And then we also have the output from the prediction. I actually picked random cohorts, so we didn't actually get any models generated because the cohorts didn't really make sense. But if you had the correct cohorts, I would have actually had models output from this. So this is how it all works. Effectively, Strategus sets up your environment to make sure that everything is, all the R libraries work for the specifications that we've designed in the JSON, and then it executes the JSON. So it basically will run patient prediction with and cohort generator with the settings that we had. So you can just simply, if you're on Windows, you sit back and wait. If you're Linux and Macs right now, you may have to enter some passwords to actually get some of the configurations. But once all that's run, you should have your study completed. And you can do this for any model designs. You can do this for prediction validation. So rather than just development, you can actually take a model that someone's got, they could put that onto GitHub, and there's actually a module where they will download the model and apply it in a similar sort of way that's doing here. It configures up your environment and starts running stuff.